Bronn might not have been born into a noble house, but if there's one character who climbs the ladder through pure skill, intelligence, and knowing exactly when to switch sides, it's him. I've always loved how brutally practical he is. He never pretends to be honorable, and somehow that honesty makes him even more interesting. We first meet Bronn at the inn at the crossroads alongside another sellsword, Chigon, when Lady Catelyn Stark and Sir Roderick Castle arrive looking for Tyrion Lannister. The moment Catelyn reveals Tyrion's identity and calls on loyal men to help arrest him for the attempted murder of Bran Stark, Bronn and Chigon immediately step in. They're not doing it out of loyalty though. As Tyrion himself points out, they're sellswords and they're probably expecting a nice reward once everything is over. On the journey toward the Vale of Arryn, Bronn wastes absolutely no time proving why he's so dangerous. When the clans of the Mountains of the Moon attack the group, he cuts down several attackers from horseback before ending up fighting with 2 swords after losing his horse. That's such a Bronn moment. No fancy speeches, just survival. After the fight, he even helps himself to Jick's expensive boots once the Lannister guard is dead. As the trip continues, it's pretty clear that Bronn starts getting along with Tyrion, something that makes Catelyn increasingly uncomfortable. During another attack the following night, Chigon is mortally wounded. Rather than letting his friend suffer, Bronn quietly finishes him off before simply telling Catelyn that Chigon died from his injuries. Cold? Definitely. But that's exactly who Bronn is. Things really change once they reach the Eyrie. During Tyrion's trial, Bronn volunteers to fight for him in the trial by combat, and let's be honest, he's not doing it because he suddenly became Tyrion's best friend. He's expecting Lannister gold. Still, when he steps into the Godswood against Ser Vardis Egen, he puts on an incredible performance. Instead of fighting honorably, Bronn fights to win, eventually killing Vardis while only losing a tooth himself. It's honestly one of my favorite fights in the entire series because it perfectly sums up Bronn's philosophy. After winning Tyrion's freedom, Bronn officially enters his service as a hired sword while they travel back toward the Riverlands. Along the way, Tyrion opens up about his brief marriage to Tysha, and before long they're approached by the mountain clans once again. This time though, Tyrion manages to recruit them instead of fighting them. When they join Lord Tywin Lannister's army, Bronn immediately proves useful again by finding Shae for Tyrion among the camp followers, even taking her away from another night. Soon after, Bronn fights alongside Tyrion during the Battle of the Green Fork before following him to King's Landing when Tywin appoints Tyrion as Hand of the King. Once they arrive in the capital, Bronn quickly becomes one of Tyrion's most trusted men. Together with Timett, he stays close to Tyrion throughout King Joffrey's name day celebrations. Before long, Tyrion puts him to work building a private force, and Bronn manages to recruit nearly 800 sellswords to strengthen Tyrion's position alongside the City Watch and the Mountain Clans. He even becomes captain of Tyrion's guards, trading his old look for Lannister Crimson and the black armor of the City Watch. One little moment I always enjoy is when Sir Alliser Thorne brings the severed White Hand to King's Landing. While everyone else is shocked, Bronn basically laughs it off because it's already decomposing. That's peak Bronn right there. Tyrion trusts him with far more than just swinging a sword. At one point, he tells Bronn to find a thief, a poisoner, a mummer, and a murderer for a secret plan to free Jaime Lannister from River Run. The plan ultimately falls apart after Sir Edmure Tully discovers it, but the fact that Tyrion immediately turns to Bronn tells you everything about the level of trust between them. Bronn also spends plenty of time protecting Tyrion personally. At Chataya's brothel, he's paired with a Dornish girl while Tyrion secretly visits Shae. After the Battle of Oxcross, when King Joffrey cruelly orders Sansa Stark beaten by the Kingsguard, Tyrion sends Bronn and Timett to protect her. During the riot in King's Landing, Bronn fights to keep Tyrion alive and even stands up to Sir Boros Blount afterward. Tyrion later assigns him to guard the water wagons that are trying to put out fires across the city. As Stannis Baratheon's army closes in, Tyrion gives Bronn one of the most important jobs of the entire battle. He's ordered to burn the waterfront between the city walls and the Blackwater Rush, setting up the wildfire trap. Around the same time, Queen Cersei has Sir Osmond Kettleblack appointed to the Kingsguard, not realizing he's actually one of Bronn's informants. Then comes the Battle of the Blackwater. Bronn oversees the massive chain stretched across the river, trapping Stannis' fleet just as the wildfire explodes around them. It's one of the defining moments of the battle, and afterward Bronn is finally rewarded with a knighthood. Honestly, if anyone earned that title through ability alone, it was Bronn. Now known as Sir Bronn of the Blackwater, he even creates his own sigil, a green flaming chain on a smoking grey field, honoring his role in the battle. While Tyrion recovers from his injuries, Bronn reveals that it was actually Lord Tywin Lannister who pushed for him to receive the knighthood. By this point, his life has completely changed. He trades cheap brothels for chatias, where he spends time with Alayaya and Marae, investigates Sir Mandon Moore's attempted murder of Tyrion, and attends Tyrion's wedding to Sansa Stark. One of Bronn's darkest jobs comes when Tyrion asks him to deal with the singer Simon Silvertongue after the man tries blackmailing him. Bronn handles the problem exactly the way you'd expect, and Simon eventually ends up as a bowl of brown somewhere in Flea Bottom. Brutal, but very Bronn. Later, Bronn and Podrick Payne accompany Tyrion when Prince Oberyn Martell arrives in King's Landing. But after King Joffrey's shocking death at the Purple Wedding, everything changes. Tyrion is arrested and Cersei realizes Bronn is one of his strongest allies. So instead of confronting him directly, she arranges for Bronn to marry Lolly Stokeworth. It's actually a clever political move. Marriage gives Bronn land, status, and a future, while also keeping him away from Tyrion. When Tyrion asks Bronn to champion him once again in another trial by combat, Bronn refuses. And honestly, I can't even blame him. Fighting Sir Gregor Clegane for money is a completely different calculation. Oberyn Martell volunteers instead, and we all know how that ends. Later on, Petyr Baelish reveals to Sansa Stark that the Kettleblack brothers were never truly working for Bronn at all. They had actually been Littlefinger's men from the very beginning. Back at Castle Stokeworth, Bronn continues climbing the social ladder. He jokingly names Lolly's bastard son Tyrion Tanner in honor of Tyrion Lannister, something that absolutely infuriates Cersei once she hears about it. After Lady Tanda Stokeworth breaks her hip and eventually dies from illness, Bronn wastes no time strengthening his position. He brings 4 knights into his household, although Phyllis Stokeworth and her husband Sir Balman Byrch dismiss them as nothing more than up-jumped sellswords. Cersei, still convinced Bronn might secretly be helping Tyrion after Lord Tywin Lannister's death, encourages Balman and Phyllis to arrange Bronn's death during a hunting accident. Instead, Balman decides to challenge Bronn to single combat. That turns out to be a terrible decision. Bronn drives his lance straight through Balman's horse, crushing him beneath it. Then, when Balman begs for mercy, Bronn simply stabs him through the eye. It's ruthless, efficient, and completely in character. I know he's far from a hero, but I can't help respecting just how decisive he is. With Balman dead, Bronn throws Felice out of Castle Stokeworth, gives her clothes to Lolly's, and effectively claims the castle for himself. To cover her own involvement, Cersei hands Felice over to Qyburn, where she ultimately dies during his horrifying experiments. Not long afterward, Lady Tanda dies as well, making Lolly's the new Lady Stokeworth and Bronn the Lord beside her. For someone who started as a nameless sellsword, it's an unbelievable rise. Meanwhile, across the Narrow Sea, the exiled Tyrion Lannister still uses Bronn as the perfect example of his own generosity while trying to win over the Second Sons. Even from thousands of miles away, Bronn's name still carries weight, and that's really Bronn's story in a nutshell. He never chases honor, glory, or reputation. He chases opportunity, and somehow he always seems to come out on top. Love him or hate him, you have to admit he's one of the smartest survivors George R.R. Martin ever created. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribing is one of the best ways to support me and help me make more A Song of Ice and Fire videos. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which character you want me to cover next. See you in the next one.